By early July, the sports calendar usually takes a long exhale. The NFL is still months away from training camp, and the NBA has settled into the quiet rhythm of its off-season. Down at the local level, things are just as still. High school gymnasiums sit empty, and regional athletes use the grueling summer heat as a mandatory dead period to rest up for the fall. But Wednesday, July 2nd, 2026, delivered an absolute barrage of action, completely shattering the typical midsummer quiet. To understand the sheer volume of history and chaos squeezed into this single 24-hour window, we're going to look at the day through a descending lens, starting under the bright lights of the global stage, dropping down to the national leagues, and finally landing at a quiet rural lake. Organizing these events by scale shows how the sports world functions across three different tiers of intensity, all sharing the same date on the calendar. At the top of this hierarchy is the 2026 FIFA World Cup, where stakes are high enough that entire nations hold their collective breath. Inside a packed San Francisco Bay Area stadium, over 68,000 raucous fans watched the United States men's national team line up against Bosnia and Herzegovina, with a ticket to the round of 16 on the line. Striker Fuller and Balogun delivered the initial breakthrough. Right at the stroke of halftime, he found an opening and slotted home a low, left-footed shot to give the Americans the lead. But the math shifted violently in the 64th minute when Balogun was shown a straight red card. For nearly 30 minutes, the U.S. squad had to absorb relentless attacks, forced to protect a razor-thin 1-0 lead while playing a man down on the sport's biggest stage. The relief finally arrived in the 82nd minute. Midfielder Malik Tillman stepped up to a 20-yard free kick and curled it cleanly over the wall and into the back of the net, sealing a 2-0 shutout. That same high-stakes pressure played out earlier in the day, with Belgium surviving a brutal 3-2 overtime thriller against Senegal to secure their own spot in the knockout stage. This tier of competition operates purely as high-pressure survival. By holding the line, the USMNT secured their first World Cup knockout stage win since 2002. Dropping down a level, we trade international elimination games for the methodical 162-game marathon of Major League Baseball. But a standard Wednesday afternoon in Chicago quickly derailed into a statistical anomaly as the Cubs completely dismantled the San Diego Padres. The Cubs posted a staggering 23-3 football score. Shortstop Dansby Swanson drove the chaos, crushing 3 home runs in a single, relentless offensive explosion. Of course, most of the league maintained a standard pace. The St. Louis Cardinals struggled to find answers at the plate, absorbing a quiet 5-1 loss to the Atlanta Braves. Out in Houston, the Astros faced a similar reality, dropping their Wednesday contest to the Minnesota Twins 8-3. The national tier forces teams to endure a repetitive daily slog. Yet within that predictable marathon, standard probability can completely vanish into a 23-run blowout. To find the very bottom of the sports funnel, we leave the stadiums behind entirely and look at a hyperlocal fishing report from Wister Lake in Lafleur County. This diagram maps out the specific environmental conditions on the water. It shows the lake temperature hitting a sweltering 89 degrees, while the water elevation sits 2 feet above normal and is currently dropping. For local outdoorsmen, this data dictates tactical reality. The stained water means crappie are biting on minnows near brush structures, while largemouth bass require crankbaits along the main river channel. This quiet routine is diligently recorded week after week by game warden James Williams. It truly represents the absolute grassroots foundation of summer sports, solitary, methodical, and intimately tied to the local landscape. Pulling back, the events of July 2nd illustrate the sheer breadth of what sports consumption actually looks like in practice. At the exact same moment, million-dollar athletes were cementing their international legacies in front of 68,000 screaming fans, a game warden was quietly logging the feeding patterns of blue catfish. It serves as a reminder that the midsummer lull is rarely as quiet as it seems, provided you're looking at the right scale. From the world stage to the local lake, July 2nd proved that there is always something moving.